Welcome to this explainer. So, if you've been digging into Rashtriya Raksha University, specifically their international relations program, you've probably been bombarded with some seriously impressive marketing. But today, we're cutting straight through all that noise. We're going to explain everything in depth, separating the flashy headlines from the grounded reality of what you'll actually study, who's really teaching you, and where this degree ultimately leads.
Okay, let's start right here with the elephant in the room. 46 lakhs per annum. I mean, wow, right? That is the massive, highly publicized, highest placement package floating around out there for RRU. And look, when you're scouting master's degrees, a number like that absolutely jumps off the screen. But we really need to pause and ask, what does this number actually mean for you?
Well, here's the catch. Those jaw-dropping marketing numbers, like that 46 LPA, they overwhelmingly belong to cybersecurity and tech grads getting scooped up by giants like Amazon or IBM. That is a completely different universe from an international relations track. We have to explicitly separate these program-specific outcomes from the university's general marketing. Because, let's be real, treating them as the exact same thing is just actively misleading. To really get to the bottom of this, here is our roadmap. First, we'll tackle the placement stats illusion. Second, the actual degree. Third, faculty verification. Fourth, the campus vibe. And finally, true career pathways. All right, let's dive into Section 1, the placement stats illusion, where we'll deconstruct those numbers.
It's actually wild how much these reported numbers vary depending on where you look. For instance, one source cites an 18 LPA highest package, mostly from corporate firms like Accenture. But then, another source boasts that massive 46 LPA figure, while candidly noting that these are for cybersecurity analysts and network engineers. The reason for this huge discrepancy? These are university-wide aggregates. They're basically mashing entirely different academic disciplines all together into one big pot.
So the absolutely crucial takeaway here is that those headline numbers are being artificially pulled up by tech and cybersecurity recruiters who are hiring from RRU's technical programs. If you apply those tech-driven averages to an international relations degree, you are falling into a classic statistical trap. An MA in International Relations and Security Studies graduate is simply not the candidate pool those IT companies or those massive paychecks are built around. Moving right along to Section 2, the actual degree. Let's decode some of these acronyms. So the program is officially called the MAIRSS, or MA in International Relations and Security Studies. It's run by the School of International Cooperation, Security, and Strategic Languages, or SICSS for short. Now, that L in success, that is vital. It highlights the strategic foreign language component, with options historically including Russian and Chinese. This language integration is literally the single most distinctive feature separating this from just any generic IR master's degree you'd find elsewhere in India. What this means in practice is that you aren't just sitting around studying abstract, country-agnostic international relations. You are actively combining that language proficiency with a hard area studies focus. The curriculum dives deep into international political economy and global security, but crucially, it connects absolutely all of it back to India's internal security picture. You're learning IR specifically through an Indian strategic lens. It's a highly specialized track. Okay, Section 3, faculty verification versus marketing. Basically, who is actually teaching you? Well, it is a verifiable fact that the school brings in some seriously heavy hitters as guest lecturers. Take Gautam Bambawale, for instance, a highly respected former ambassador to China and high commissioner to Pakistan. He has publicly praised the program's design. The school also hosts these faculty development sessions on India's national security management, delivered by serving or former officials. This is genuine, confirmable expertise from practitioners with actual real-world diplomatic and security experience. But we do have to look at this objectively. You're going to see plenty of student testimonials praising the faculty online, especially the native-speaking language professors. And while that's a useful signal, you got to remember these are published on the university's own promotional pages. To get a genuinely credible read, you need to look past the marketing shine and verify the specific faculty members and their real-world government service backgrounds yourself. Let's pivot to Section 4, campus vibe. We're looking at the general data to see what it's actually like to live there. Independent reviews actually paint a really vibrant picture. It's a diverse residential campus featuring students from over 20 different countries, all set in this picturesque spot right next to a river. They actively celebrate regional festivals, which is great. Interestingly, though, one review framed the academic environment as survival of the fittest. That sounds a little intense, right? But they did clarify that it's demanding in a supportive way rather than a toxic or cutthroat one. But hold on, I have to explicitly flag a reality check here. This vibe data is for the general RRU campus across all of its programs. A security studies cohort is likely going to have a genuinely different social dynamic compared to, say, a forensic science or a cybersecurity group. We simply don't have direct, independently verified evidence either way for the MAIRSS students specifically. So just keep that caveat in the back of your mind. Finally, Section 5, True Career Pathways. Where do these graduates actually end up? Instead of landing at an IT firm with a 46 LPA package, let's logically map out the realistic progression for an IR and security studies graduate. You're looking at pathways into government service, including those highly sought-after UPSC track roles. You're looking at think tanks, policy research, defense-adjacent analysis, diplomacy track opportunities, or pursuing further postgraduate study. This is a completely different placement reality from the headline figures dominating RRU's general marketing. It's grounded, it's specialized, and it is squarely aimed at serving the national security space. Because clean, cohort-specific placement data for this exact program just isn't published clearly anywhere online, the absolute most actionable takeaway from this entire explainer is this: you have to do your own fieldwork. Seriously, do not rely solely on the brochures. You need to independently reach out to current MAIRSS students or actual alumni on professional networks and ask them directly about their specific placement outcomes. Honestly, that is the only way you're going to get the unvarnished truth. So, I'm going to leave you with this final critical question. Are you chasing a statistically improbable tech salary? Or are you genuinely committed to the rigorous, highly specialized path of a career in national security? Understanding exactly what this program is, and just as importantly, what it isn't, is your absolute first step. Thanks so much for joining this explainer, and remember, always look past the headlines.